Today we're talking about why you're going about this meta all wrong. Okay, maybe not quite as drastic. The title is a little bit in your face and it's not necessarily what's always implied. The title is why starting support in mid is wrong. Maybe. There's an idea to this though. Currently, we see a lot of people doing strategies like for example starting the support in mid lane without fully understanding them. And that's why Emilzy and I decided to make a video about exactly that. Or in other words, why you shouldn't just blindly copy what pros are doing. This in itself is probably no news to you. You've probably heard this one before, especially from the pros. But in this video we want to explain a little more what exactly about the strategies doesn't work, where the issues lie with copying specific strats or builds, and how you can actually utilize them in a good way, as well as which of these strategies may work under the right circumstances and what those circumstances are. But as mentioned before, I did not make this video on my own. This video was made with Emilzy, the support for Obey, currently the second highest placed team in the world, so he's gonna give you some more insight than I ever could. As such, in this video I'll be giving you the basic insight while he goes all in depth. This video will be separated into 3 different sections, first talking a little bit about picks, then starts, and then builds.
Alright, hello guys, this is Emilzy. We are today going to talk about the difference between competitive and ranked, casuals as well. Why you playing at a certain start or building a certain item might not work as well as your favorite SPL player did it in an SPL game. So I also have my own YouTube channel as mentioned before. If you guys would give me a subscription order, that would be very awesome. I try to upload at least 1 or 2 videos daily from my stream as well. So I hope you guys will enjoy this video.
The first point on the agenda here is picks. And when we're referring to picks, we're talking both about single picks like for example Ares solo or Hell support, as well as more overarching strategies like hunters being played in mid, as well as strategies concerning the whole team, for example like a triple tank double hunter comp. A lot of these strategies can be applied in ranked as well, not all of them. For example, Ares solo is very hard to execute as you would have to have a jungler that babysits you all the time, and in ranked that's usually just not possible as you will have either your team wanting him to rotate somewhere else or have a jungler that's not pre-made with you in the first place. But with those strategies that you can apply, for example a Hell support, you have to understand how exactly to do that in order to make it a good choice and a good pick for that situation rather than just picking it because you think it's good. Emilzy will explain in more detail how exactly you choose that.
I want to start off by saying that I am not trying to limit any of you at all by picking something you think is fun or playing something where it's fun. I'm just explaining on a bit more detailed level why it might not be working. So when you go into a competitive game, you think about every single pick. You have done a lot of preparation. We know which picks does very good against certain picks, and that's also how we draft around it. A really good example of this is the Ares solo. When they played that on Rival, they had a very specific start that you could see they had practice in scrims, where Kalas, the support player, would play Athena and start in solo with Deathwalker. And Ice Ice Baby, the jungler, would also stay around solo a lot, and that kind of neglects the fact that Ares has so bad lane clear early on in the game. And those are very comp specific. It worked very well into the Bellona that Dignitas was playing that game as well. So if you pick Ares in your game and you're laning against an Osiris and your jungler is starting in mid, there is no guarantee it's going to work for you. Of course you can try it out if you have fun, but you need to understand that there is a major difference between why you pick something in competitive to why you pick it in ranked. Another example is one of my favorite picks. One of my favorite guardians, which is not a guardian, a mage, is Hell right now. Hell does not get picked into as any comp. You can't just pick it whenever you want to. When I pick Hell, I'm looking at different factors. What guards do they have? What guards do we have? Are we gonna get pressure in our lane if I start in mid, if I start in duo? And those are all factors we pro players take into mind when we do these drafts and we do our picks. So please remember, I'm not trying to tell you to not play it, but if Hell support is not working out for you because you're laning with a Xbalanque and the enemy team has a Sobek, Serket and Odin, it's probably not that Hell is a bad guard, it's just it's very match specific when you pick these kind of guards. I want to finish off with mentioning what DukeSloth talked about already, which is the triple guardian double hunter. Why do you pick this? It's again, it might not work for you in a ranked game if you force your team, if it's ever gonna happen, to play 3 Guardians and 2 Hunters, because that's a very team specific playstyle. You can get very good at it, but I think the general thing we can take out of this is that when it comes to very player specific picks and very player specific team compositions, it's something that teams have spent countless hours practicing in scrims against other pro teams, and that does not transfer to ranked.
When it comes to starts, there are various different options. A little spoiler ahead, you can start the support in mid in specific situations. However, in ranked, in many situations, that's not the situation where you want to start in mid. It is very helpful to understand when which start is more useful though. For example, with certain comps you want to create as much pressure as possible in the duo lane, whereas with others you're maybe better off starting in the jungle and just getting those safe camps and missing out a bit on the first wave. So the situations here can very much differ depending on your picks, and that's something to look into. There's actually a surprisingly high amount of different starting strategies that pro teams utilize, and at least within Obey, some have quite funny names that Emilzy will introduce you to as well.
So before I get into very specifics about the different starts you can do, I want to give a little backstory. In Obey, we got very annoyed because there's a few different starts. There was 2-1-2, 2-2-1, 1-2-2, and those are just numbers. How do you know? Do you go from the left lane to the right lane? Do you go from right to left lane? So we came up with an idea. What if we give certain start certain names? So the first start, which is the most common start throughout this whole season, is the Cobra start. The Cobra start is the start where the support and ADC starts in duo lane. This can be in the wave or on the red buff. The mid laner and the jungle assassin, whatever that is gonna start in the mid lane, and the solo laner is gonna start by himself. This was very heavily favored, especially in the summer split, although we did see it not very favored at the fall split. It's called the Cobra because the idea behind the start is that your ADC is going to be incredibly far ahead, and an ADC is kind of a Cobra. But actually, that's actually not the real true explanation. It's kind of a Ataraxia's last name before Ataraxia was Cobra Kai, and Cobra, and we wanted an animal theme. The next start you can do is the Dolphin. Now the Dolphin is the support in mid, and I think if you ask 100 people why you do the Dolphin start, 1 out of them is gonna get it correct. You start with the support in mid because there's no way you're going to win pressure in the duo lane and you're just going to lose your buffs. This could be if you're against an Izanami, a Sylvanas, maybe you just want your mid laner to get ahead or your soul laner to get big, so that's why you start your support mid. The problem in ranked is that people don't have this mentality. They saw the pros do it and that's why they do it. And so the Dolphin start is the hunter starts alone. In mid starts the support and the mid laner. You can swap around, so the jungler could start in mid, and as mentioned before, like Rival did in the summer split finals, the support could start in solo, but it's just that you start 2 in solo, 2 in mid, and the hunter in duo. So with this start, the solo laner and the mid laner should especially get very far ahead, and the hunter might come really far behind. Like we had a game against Elevate where we lost a tier 1 tower in duo lane within the first 2 minutes. So the point of this start is very, again, game specific, and that's why I dislike when people do it in ranked all the time. The third start I wanted to mention is what's the most common NA start right now. It's what we call the Sharknado. It's basically a variation of Dolphin. What you do in this is that instead of starting with the ADC in duo lane, you're going to start with the support in duo lane. So you're going to have your mage and your hunter in mid. The reasoning behind this is because you want to get the most amount of pressure you can in mid, and the mage and the ADC is the ones they have the most lane clear, the most kill potential at level 1. So that's why you do that. We saw LG very favoring it, United doing the same. This is what we like to say the NA start as well. We call it the Sharknado. The story behind this name is that Prime is a bit of a shark, he's a mage, and Nado is Nate. There's a few other starts as well, but those are all very game specific and something you're not gonna see a lot. The main point I want to get out here is that we are not telling you it's bad to start in mid because it's you. We're telling you it's bad to start in mid because you probably don't have the correct reasoning behind starting mid, but now you have it, so please go and put it to use. If you want to get a fat solo laner, go and start with a Dolphin. If you want to get a fat ADC, you start the Cobra. So this was kind of a long story about how the names got developed and why we do certain things the way. You can totally try it out, I don't mind it, but if you think that this start is bad, why are the pro players doing it. We have very specific reasons for starting the way we do, and I kind of explained all of it here. So yeah. I want to finish off by saying that the Cobra start is probably the best rank start because people are so used to it. There is merit to Dolphin if people get really good at it as well. But as it is right now, people do not understand the reasoning behind starting Dolphin, and Cobra is also the most farm efficient way of starting. So if you're clueless on how to start, Cobra is always going to be the correct way to go.
The third and last point are builds. I've recently already addressed Stone of Gaia and how you can utilize that in a video. In this particular one, we'll go a little bit deeper into other options as well. For example, Hide of the Urchin, or the more tankier jungle items that we see more like Encile. As I've already touched upon this topic a little bit, I'll hand it right over to Emilzy.
So we're going to finish off with builds. We've seen a lot of different items where it might look very weird. A good example of this is Stone of Gaia. Stone of Gaia has seen a ton of play right now, and it is also, in my opinion, slightly overtuned. But Stone of Gaia is a very playstyle specific item you pick up. Rival is one of the biggest consumers of Stone of Gaia, and the way they play with it is they have these long FG dances where they poke and they back out, and they take uneven poke trades, but because they have Stones of Gaia, they're able to take these non-favorable poke trades and eventually regen so much from the Stone of Gaias. So if you're playing Stone of Gaia as an Amaterasu solo into an Odin solo or an Odin jungle, and it's just not working out for you and you're getting bursted by the ADC or whatever it could be, it's probably not because Stone of Gaia is a bad item, it's because it's bad in that scenario. What you want to look for if you get Stone of Gaia is you want to look for knock-ups or knockbacks or whatever it can be in the enemy team. When there's also other items, there's Stone of Binding, which is a bully tool, as Jeff Hindland, Polar Bear Mike, the two NA Pro top supports, explained it. Those are very game-specific items. It's not because it's bad, it's not because it's gonna work for you, but it works for them with their playstyle. It might work for you, but it might not. Other good examples of this are the Shogun's Kusari. Shogun's recently got nerfed. It's still a very good item, especially if you have more than one AA based guard. But if you're rushing it after your boots or right after your Jade Emperors and you're dying, it's not because the item is bad, it's because it's bad in the situation you're picking it in. The same goes for other items like a tank junglers. What I've seen a lot is that rather Tasca and Socket are built tanky, which I think there's a lot of merit to. But then I see like Nemesis building Mystical Mail and Ankyle, and just because those builds works on one guard in competitive, that doesn't mean you can transfer this build to another guard and then it's just bad. Those are also like, there's scenarios with Divine Ruin, Brawler Speedstick, Pestilence, Voidstone, where they're picked up in very game-specific scenarios. Briefly to finish off, I wanted to touch on Hide of the Urchin. Hide of the Urchin is also a very game-specific item. It's not that good anymore. You can pick it if you're playing, let's just get as many kills as possible, full pressure comp. But if you see pros build it all the time, especially on mid laners and junglers, it's because that you are dying if you don't have that. That's why you got Hide of the Urchin on mid laners and ADCs and junglers, is because you're just dying. That doesn't really happen too much anymore. But it's not because it's good, it was good, but it's also because it was a necessity. Again, a very game dependent choice. So to end it off, I think we can say that when you think about builds, how you start, what guard you pick, you need to look at this specific game, and then you want to make your choice. Am I going to go for a Voidstone this game? Is Fafnir Sobek the better pick? Am I going to start Dolphin? Am I going to start Cobra? It's very important to be game specific, and that's just the thing I want to get out of this. It's not because you are worse, it's not because you are bad that you can't pull it off, it's because you don't have a deeper understanding of why it's happening. But hopefully now you do. So hope you guys enjoyed this video a lot. Go and follow me on my YouTube, and until next time, peace out.
And with that, thank you guys for watching. Once again, if you're not following Emilzy yet, feel free to check out his channel. I can highly recommend it. And obviously you can subscribe to me as well if you enjoyed this content. And if you click the bell, it also gives you the chance to get some codes. See you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out.